The moment he stepped onto the stage, the room didn't just go quiet, it held its breath. Cameras zoomed in, lights burned hot, and somewhere in America, millions leaned closer to their screens without even realizing it. Before a single note was sung, something felt different. If you've ever doubted that one voice can stop a nation in its tracks, stay with this story till the very end, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because moments like this don't happen every day. His name was Miguel Santos, a 29-year-old from Cebu, Philippines, and he stood alone at the center of the biggest stage of his life. The polished floor reflected his silhouette, dressed in a simple black suit with a subtle Elvis-style collar, nothing flashy, nothing forced. His hands trembled just enough to betray the calm smile on his face. Backstage, minutes earlier, he had whispered a prayer in Tagalog, thinking of his mother watching from a small living room thousands of miles away, her hands clasped tightly, her heart racing faster than his ever could. Miguel wasn't new to struggle. He grew up in a cramped home near the docks, where the smell of salt water mixed with diesel and dreams were often drowned out by reality. As a boy, he sang to escape the noise, first to help his mother forget the exhaustion of double shifts, then to drown out his own fears. His father, a construction worker, used to play old Elvis Presley records on a second-hand player. The vinyl crackled, the needle skipped, but the voice, felt eternal. To Miguel, Elvis wasn't just a singer, he was hope wrapped in melody. Years passed, and Miguel sang anywhere he could: weddings, street corners, ferry terminals. People would stop, listen, smile, then walk away. Applause didn't pay bills, and there were nights when he wondered if passion alone could keep a family afloat. He almost quit once, took a warehouse job that left his voice hoarse and his spirit tired. But every time he sang an Elvis song, something inside him came alive again, like a promise refusing to die. Now here he was, under American lights, facing judges known for crushing dreams with a single sentence. One judge leaned back with folded arms, clearly skeptical. Another whispered something off mic, raising an eyebrow. The audience murmured softly, some curious, some doubtful. A Filipino Elvis impersonator? They'd seen gimmicks before. Miguel felt it all, the weight of expectation pressing down on his chest, but he stood still. He remembered his mother's words from the night he left home: sing like it's the last time, Anik. Make them feel you. The music began, slow, deliberate, unmistakably Elvis. The first note left his lips, and the air changed. It wasn't just imitation. It wasn't a copy. It was something deeper, rawer. His voice carried the warmth of memory and the ache of sacrifice. It echoed with late nights, missed chances, and a boy who learned to dream in a language far from this stage. The audience leaned forward now. Conversations stopped. Even the skeptical judge uncrossed his arms. As Miguel moved, his performance felt effortless, almost spiritual. Every gesture was restrained yet powerful, every note placed with care. He didn't overdo the accent, didn't exaggerate the moves. Instead, he let the song breathe through him. You could hear the pain in his softer lines, the quiet confidence in his rise, the undeniable truth in the way he held the final notes just a second longer than expected. Halfway through, something remarkable happened. People weren't just listening, they were feeling. A woman in the front row wiped tears from her eyes. A man behind her nodded slowly, as if remembering something he thought he'd lost. The judges exchanged looks, not of surprise anymore, but of respect. This wasn't nostalgia. This was revival. Miguel closed his eyes during the final chorus. In his mind, he wasn't on a stage in America. He was back home, singing to his mother as rain tapped against the tin roof, promising her that one day, everything would be okay. His voice cracked just slightly, not from weakness, but from truth. And in that moment, America gasped. The song ended. Silence followed, not the awkward kind, but the stunned kind. A heartbeat passed. Then another. And then the eruption. The audience leapt to their feet, applause crashing like a wave. Cheers filled the hall, louder and louder, until it felt like the walls themselves were clapping. One judge stood up instantly, hand over heart. Another shook his head in disbelief, laughing softly as if trying to process what he'd just witnessed. The toughest judge leaned forward, eyes intense, then slowly stood as well. A standing ovation. Not earned through tricks, but through soul. Miguel stood frozen, unsure if this was real. His hands flew to his mouth, tears welling up as he bowed his head. For the first time, the weight he'd carried for years lifted. On that stage, in that moment, he wasn't just a Filipino Elvis. He was a singer who had been heard. When the judges spoke, their words were honest and heavy with emotion. One admitted they had expected a novelty but received a masterpiece. Another said the performance reminded them why music matters, why it connects strangers across oceans and cultures. The toughest judge paused before speaking, then said quietly, "That wasn't an impersonation. That was you." Back in the Philippines, Miguel's mother cried openly, neighbors crowding into the room, cheering like he'd already won something far bigger than a competition. And maybe he had. Because success isn't always a trophy. Sometimes it's proof that your voice, your story, belongs on the world's biggest stage. As Miguel walked off, the cameras caught him exhale, shoulders shaking, smiling through tears. He knew the journey wasn't over. There would be pressure, expectations, critics. But he also knew something else now: dreams don't expire just because the road is long. If this story moved you even a little, take a second to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more inspiring stories like this to life, and you never know whose dream you might be lifting next. Because somewhere out there, another voice is waiting to be heard. And just like Miguel, all it takes is one moment, one song, to make the world stop and gasp. The crowd was already buzzing, but the second he appeared on stage, everything changed. A hush swept through the room so fast it felt unreal, like the air itself had been pulled tight. Millions of viewers at home leaned closer to their screens, not knowing why, only knowing they couldn't look away. And before this story unfolds any further, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to experience is one of those rare moments that reminds us why we believe in dreams at all. His name was Daniel Cruz, a 31-year-old Filipino singer who had crossed oceans carrying nothing but a suitcase, a voice, and a lifetime of hope. Standing under the blinding lights of America's biggest stage, he adjusted the microphone with shaking fingers. His suit was classic, inspired by Elvis, black, tailored, timeless, but his eyes told a deeper story. They held fear, faith, and the quiet courage of someone who had already lost too much to give up now. Daniel grew up in a small town where nights were loud with barking dogs and passing tricycles, and mornings came too early. His mother sold food at a roadside stall, his father worked overseas and came home only in photos and voice notes. Music was Daniel's escape. He sang while doing chores, while walking to school, while helping his mother close the stall late at night. And when he first heard Elvis Presley, something clicked. The power, the emotion, the way pain and confidence lived in the same note, it felt familiar. It felt like home. But life wasn't kind to dreams. Daniel was told again and again that singing wouldn't feed a family. He joined talent shows back home, only to be eliminated early. He worked as a hotel waiter, singing softly after long shifts, sometimes to empty halls, sometimes to strangers who clapped politely and forgot his name by morning. There were nights he stood alone, staring at city lights, wondering if this dream was foolish, if he was chasing something that was never meant for him. When he finally auditioned for the show, it wasn't confidence that brought him, it was desperation mixed with belief. He had borrowed money for the trip. Failure wasn't just emotional, it would hurt everyone he loved. Backstage, he could hear the crowd, the judges laughing at another act, the faint echo of applause. His heart pounded so hard he thought the microphone might pick it up. The judges looked unimpressed when he introduced himself. One smiled politely. Another nodded without interest. The toughest judge leaned back, arms crossed, expression unreadable. A Filipino Elvis tribute act wasn't exactly what they were waiting for. The audience murmured, unsure whether to expect something special or something forgettable. Then the music started. The opening note was low, controlled, and smooth, and instantly, heads turned. Daniel's voice didn't try to overpower the room, it filled it. There was strength in his restraint, emotion in his pauses. It wasn't just Elvis's sound, it was Elvis's soul filtered through Daniel's own journey. Every lyric felt lived in, every breath intentional. As the song built, so did the tension. The judge who had been smiling politely sat upright. Another leaned forward, eyes locked on the stage.